Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
If you wonder what is going on in your life, why is this happening? Why is that happening? It can be traced back to astrology, your astrological sign, what's going on in terms of the planets and their alignments and their connection to you. We're great and happy and grateful to be connected to her. She's a psychological astrologer, and she's back with us, and also a best-selling author. Carmen Schott is here. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm so glad it's Friday, and happy that it's fall. I love this time of year. This is my favorite month, October, November. This is my favorite season. So I love when it cools off and the leaves are changing color. So it's really, really pretty.
Yeah, there is other things going on. And I don't want to be negative, because last time we got together, there was, because of the planet alignment, some kind of crazy stuff going on. So we have a lunar eclipse tomorrow. Do I have that right?
We have on October 28th, which is tomorrow. We have a full moon in the sign Taurus, and then we have what's called a lunar eclipse in Taurus, which is like a double whammy. They're predicting this is a very tense time of emotions. When we talk about astrology, it's just energy. That's what it is. And it's the energy that's affecting us and our emotions and our mind and our reactions. And you can see it play out in the world, even if, people don't believe in it. This Scorpio energy is what started shifting on the 23rd of October, this past, Tuesday? Scorpio, we're in Scorpio season, and we were in Libra season, which is air. Libra's real beauty and compromise and relationships and love, and let's all get along, peace. And then now we're into this Scorpio energy, which is very intense. It's all about power and control and deep, intense emotions and healing and trauma and pain and having to face things we don't want to really think about. And so this Scorpio energy is really intense, and we can see it playing out in the world on the news. We talk about Mars went into Scorpio, and you can see different things happen because Mars is violence. It rules guns and all these things. As we could see, we have that shooting in Maine that happened this week. And a lot of things like that tend to, all of a sudden unexpectedly happen. And it's just that energy, you just see that energy affecting people and how their emotions are and what's going on with them. And so this weekend, just be careful about getting in fights or arguments with your loved ones or family and friends, because it's like anything you repress is Scorpio. So this is all about the repression season. I always joke, because it's like you'll be holding things in that have been bothering you for years, maybe in relationships, with love, with family, and it just comes out. Like it's like this intensity that it's hard to control those emotions, because this energy affects our emotions, because Scorpio's a water sign, and all the water signs affect our emotions, right? So when there's energy and transits and things in the sky right now, there's a lot of stuff in Scorpio. Mercury, the planet communications, in Scorpio. Mars, our aggression, our passion, is in Scorpio, and then the sun is in Scorpio. So just be more patient and try to step back if you feel yourself getting angry, because that anger, there's an intensity of anger kind of going on this week, and frustration. And I've been seeing it play out at work with people and in emails, and what's really funny is this whole week I've been very blunt, and everyone I've talked to said, "Oh yeah, I just am saying exactly what I think, and I don't care. I'm just speaking the truth." And that's kind of that energy that we have going on right now, is people are really being vocal and speaking the truth, and then it's causing conflict, of course, because people don't always like being called out or shown what they're doing wrong, right? Or what they can do better.
It almost sounds like it's a boiling point where it's just got to let it out, got to purge it out.
Yeah.
Has there been other times in recent time where it would be that situation, or this situation with the alignment of the planets is very unique?
I would say right now it's very unique because we're in what's called the final eclipse season of the Taurus and Scorpio eclipses. We were having them last year. This is the final ones, and so as it's ending, it's just a very intense emotional time. It's a time of healing and letting go of the past, because when you think of Taurus, Taurus is all about the past. Taurus is about comfort, security, money, finances, having a roof over your head, patience. They're very grounded. They like peace. They like harmony. And then their polar opposite is Scorpio. And so Scorpio, we have Scorpio energy going on because this is the birth time of Scorpios right now with the sun there. So it's like a double whammy of, letting go and forgiving things, forgiving the past, releasing things, and healing these things that have been affecting us for all this whole eclipse cycle, really for the past year. These eclipses have been affecting us, but right now it is intensified because it's like Scorpio is not going to let you hide anymore. You're going to have to come to terms with what's been going on in your life and things that maybe you were avoiding changing, because Taurus likes things to stay the same. Scorpio likes to shake things up and change things, and and very into transformation and rebirth. So it's like these opposite energies, but they also share commonalities, because they're meant to balance each other as polar opposite signs. So we'll be feeling this weekend, this week, even today, the moon is in Aries right now. And so people have been a little bit more impatient, impulsive, irritated, blunt, telling people what they think, a little bit more arguments, people typing and writing emails and people going back and forth. I've been seeing it all week. And then tomorrow at 4:24 p.m., when the moon it moves into Taurus, we're going to feel a totally different energy. It's going to kind of ground us. And I think we're going to feel like being home and have comfort, whether that's making your favorite food, staying inside, watching Netflix, cuddling with your pet, whatever it is, getting out in nature, in the woods, whatever can bring you comfort. That's what we're meant to do this weekend with this full moon in Taurus energy.
So would you say, and my sister, last time we talked, last couple of times, I talked to my sister about this. And she's been experiencing, and she's a Virgo. She's been experiencing, kind of just crazy stuff. And she goes, when is it going to get better? When are we going to get out of that? It sounds like a lot of this will be left behind after 4 p.m. tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. We're going to feel a lot better tomorrow. It's going to be, but what's going to happen is it's also going to be intense because it's going to force us to release things, because a full moon forces us. It's like those emotions come up and you can't ignore them. So if people want to cry, these are my tips in my books, let yourself cry, let yourself express yourself, and, write, listen to music, go work out, go visit friends, be social, whatever helps you feel better. Because Taurus is all about feeling good and having pleasure, and they love, they're ruled by Venus, the same planet that rules Libra. So they like harmony and they like stability. So this weekend, we're all going to be feeling the moon in Taurus, and we're going to want to eat, and we're going to want to have comfort, and we're going to want to be lazy, and we're going to feel like withdrawing from the go, go, go that we've been on all week, because we've been in Aries energy, which has been action, and just go, 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 and just feeling exhausted, because this Aries energy has been getting us. So I think we're going to feel good this weekend, tomorrow for sure.
Would you say, and then we're going to talk about your new book in a sec, but would you say after this weekend, things are going to be, at least for a while, easier than they have been in the past month or so?
Yes, it's gonna get a lot better. And as we get in, I guess next time I'll talk to you, we'll be in November. So November, we have a lot of good energy coming our way, because we're gonna have Sagittarius. The sun will be going into Sagittarius. We have some of those Scorpio planets will be going into Sagittarius, which is the free spirit, the optimist, positive, light, have fun, let's travel, energy, adventure. So we're gonna feel good in November, guys, it's going to get better. So that's my prediction. We're going to feel a lot better, mentally, emotionally, physically, all that, because it's been a heavy couple months, really, with all these eclipses and everything we've had, right?
Well, yeah, Mercury retrograde, then the retrograde of other planets, then the eclipse,
Yes.
then,
All the
and then
eclipses, the
right.
retrogrades.
And isn't it interesting that this period ends right before Halloween?
I
Uh,
know, I know,
yeah.
I know, I know. It's so interesting.
Hmm.
And the energy, you can feel this energy of Halloween, in the fall. It's like a time to reflect and slow down, because things we've been go in the spring, all these intense retrogrades and responsibilities and people and then it's like as soon as it starts getting dark earlier, it's dark when you wake up and people kind of slow down. The energy gets a little bit easier because it's a little bit slower and you have more time to relax.
Yeah.
And like you can, kind of recover from what we just went through, right? It's like, okay, I made it. And now, wow, I just don't want to do anything and relax and just read, listen to music, hang out, watch movies, just, do what you want to do and take a little break. This is a good time to take a little break from all of the action and emotional turmoil that we've been going through in our lives and in the world, because when the world is affected, people that are sensitive, empaths, all of us are sensitive. But people that are, psychic, intuitive, when the world is going through what it's going through, we pick up on those energies and those thoughts, and it's hard. And then when you're watching television, it makes it worse. So I've been trying not to watch the news as much, and just at night, I'm trying not to watch it till, later at night after I eat and stuff, and just things that make you feel better. You know what I mean? That's important.
I feel, and I think you might even agree that we don't realize the stuff that goes on around us, like world events, how it affects us. We might look at it, oh, that's horrible. Can't believe that's going on.
Yeah.
And we think that maybe we just, now we move on to the next thing, but it's made an imprint in us.
Yeah.
Psychologically, emotionally, and we might not even see it, feel it, realize it, but it's doing something.
And what it does too is it can trigger your traumas. And as a licensed social worker, I work a lot with trauma survivors and I've had my own traumas and this thing yesterday with the Maine shooting, that is a big trigger for me, because I've lost several friends through gun violence. And so a couple years ago right before COVID happened, I think, what month was it? It was February before COVID. I got a call that my college friend was that they thought she was shot at a community center in St. Louis, Missouri. It was all over the news. And she was a good friend of mine. I mean, we went to college together. She came and visited me when I lived in Germany when I was married. And I thought, my friend called and said, I think it's her. She's the manager there. I'm worried. I can't get a hold of her. And I turned the news on. I was traveling and there was my friend's picture all over the news. It was like a movie. Like, I can't believe this. It was her. There was a shooter. He was disgruntled because he got fired, and he walked up to the front desk where she was, and he shot her. And he started pacing, and he went out, and there was an off-duty police officer that came in and saved everybody. There was like 100 kids in there, people playing sports, working out, and the one person that he killed was my friend, and her father passed away 2 days later from a broken heart. She lived with her dad and took care of him. He was older and he was a veteran, and we had a double funeral, and then COVID was going on. It was like, so that's a big trigger for me, like, because everyone was afraid to hug or touch each other because, they're like, COVID was kind of becoming a big thing, but we really didn't know what it was at the time. And we went to this funeral for my friend, and I never really it never really hit me what happened. And so when I saw that on the news, it just brought up all of that emotional hurt of losing my friend through gun violence. So we all have these triggers, right? But this is so Scorpio, like what I just discussed. So I know that this is healing. This is the healing energy we're all going through right now. So whatever is your trigger, whatever is your trauma that comes up, let yourself heal from it and try not to avoid thinking about it, because it's meant to come up right now. And I knew that yesterday when it came up for me, and I'm like, I need to take my own advice as a counselor, right? And I need to deal with my own things, because if I don't heal my stuff, I can't help other people.
Yep.
And so that's what I try to do with astrology is to show people how they can tap into their strengths, and that they have a purpose and a mission. There's a reason we're all here on this earth, and the chart can show that. And nothing's chance. It's all meant to be. It's timing, it's energy, it's our soul's imprint is your birth chart. So but that's my story about this Scorpio energy coming up and this.
Well, that all being said, when we talk about your purpose in life, why we're here, that's basically what your upcoming book is about.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I got a book coming out. I wrote it with a astrology friend of mine, a mentor. His name's Bernie Ashman. We both co-wrote it. It's called Astrology's Magical Nodes of the Moon. And it says embracing the future, releasing the past. And it's out for pre-order, just like as of last week on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. And as an author, I never realized how important pre-orders were. So it's so weird to say, oh, pre-order my book because you don't get it yet. And everyone's like, well, it's not out, but until August. I'm like, yeah, but pre-orders are a huge thing. And I didn't know that until I started publishing. And I'm like, well, how many pre-orders do I need? And I remember my editor's like, about 800. I'm like, what? So that's a big thing. So it's out there, and it's what the nodes are it's the North Node is what we call it in astrology, is your soul mission this lifetime. So wherever that node is, what sign, what house, that is why you're here. That's why your soul chose to come back at the time, place, date of your birth to master those energies. And so the North Node sign is very important to know. And in my book, I talk about each sign node. We have 12 signs. So the node can be in Aries, Taurus, Gemini, right? Cancer, the North Node. And that means that you're learning to become that sign, like to master that energy. And then the South Node it's an upside down. It looks like the North Node looks like headphones. It's like a horseshoe with these little round pots. And then the South Node is like headphones upside down. And that's your past lives. That's what your soul has already mastered. And so you can see where your talents are, where your gifts are from other lifetimes that you've had, and that you bring those into this lifetime. And so I talk about that in the book. So we analyze each sign node. So for instance, we talked about polar opposites. So you're going to know if your North Node is in Libra, your South Node is Aries, because the nodes always fall on the opposite signs, the polar opposites. So I'm a North Node Scorpio, which is why I've gone through a lot of these traumatic things and loss of loved ones and things, because that's my North Node. I'm meant to heal and go through those kind of transformations through losing people. That's kind of my North Node, and teaching and talking about it, right? And things like that. And doing astrology, that's a very Scorpio North Node. But and I'm meant to let go of the past and forgive and embrace change in my life instead of keeping things cozy. So everyone, has their nodes. And your North Node, I'm just looking at your chart, is Leo. And so you are learning to be a Leo, which is the performer, the entertainer, creator, artistic, all these things, right? And having a voice. Leos are the lion, they're the leader, they're very confident and assertive and all these things, and they're charming and charismatic. So you're learning to be a Leo, which is using your voice and expressing your creative talents. Like that's where you're going, and letting people see your talents and being recognized for those. Because in the past you were an Aquarius, so you've got a little bit of Aquarius in your soul. That's where your South Node is.
Now, when you say in my past, how do you mean?
In your past lives. You were an Aquarius, very intelligent, very smart, very
obviously that doesn't carry over to my current life.
you were a rebel, a humanitarian, that's Aquarius energy, eccentric, creative, innovative, anything with innovation and creativity, friendship, groups, helping large groups of people is Aquarius, and having freedom and independence. That's big with Aquarius energy. And so you're balancing this Aquarius Leo. Our whole life we're balancing our nodes. It's not like you give up one. You're not going to say, I'm going to give up Aquarius because I have to. No, you're always going to have that in your soul. So in the book, we talk about how you have to balance like a seesaw, those parts of you to reach your soul mission. So I always tell people, read everything about your North Node sign, because it's not going to be comfortable, because you're not like that, but you're meant to be. And so read everything you can about Leo. And that's kind of where your soul's going. And then we look at the sign it's in, and then we look at the house it's in, because the houses matter more than the sign, in my opinion. So where whatever house the North Node is in is the area of life you're meant to focus on. And for you, that's the house of Taurus, second house, home, and it's security, it's comfort, it's embracing being not having to fight and survive. It's like having things just feel peaceful. That's kind of second house, and things, having the things you need, and not having to change all the time. See, you're learning to settle down and have comfort and stability, and it's okay not to have a crisis all the time, because you've already done the crisis stuff in past lives, and these rebirths, these changes all the time. And so as you get older, it's really cool with the nodes, because we're not even in our North Node until we get older, because we have our whole life to get, the universe is trying to get us to our soul mission. And so guess what? Life events that happen, the timing of our life, all those things get you into your node. They either force you into your North Node kicking and screaming, or we can move towards the North Node when we kind of know what it is and start trying to embrace it. And that's what I did. I'm like, I'm never going to be a Scorpio. How am I going to do this? I remember saying this to myself. And this is when I lost my friend. I was talking about, I was out running, and I just heard in my head, how else would I make you a Scorpio? And I started laughing, because it's so true. Like, I have to have loss to become a Scorpio North Node, And so, and I see that with people. And then what's really cool, when I do charts for people that are 80, 90, even in their 70s, by the time we're 61, we're for that second Saturn return, we talked about, that 57 to 60. After that is when we get in our North Node fully. We're in it, and we're here doing what we're meant to do. So no matter what, the universe is going to get you into your soul mission,
whether you want to or not.
Yeah. I mean, it can be more difficult, and we can push back and resist, because that's what we do, because change is hard. We like to be how we always were. That's your South Node. We like to fall into those old habits, those old ways that our soul naturally knows. And we may not remember, you may not remember being an 8th house South Node Aquarius. That's the Phoenix energy. Your South Node is in that 8th house of death, rebirth, healing, Phoenix energy, spiritual things, deep healing, all these things. And you're learning and crisis and change and all that is 8th house. This life, you're meant to have peace and harmony, and have money, finances, things come easily. So you're kind of moving into that. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Is it fitting? Because usually the node is really, you realize it as you get older. Wow, that is what I'm doing.
And that is what I'm doing, and that is my goal. And of course, anybody can say, well, of course I want, stability, comfort, all of that. More so in my situation. And I'll share with you, I'm in my second return. What is that called?
Yeah, the second Saturn return. That's
that age cell. Yeah. So all of these things are aligning, and we're just using me as an example. All of these things that you're saying are making sense, are aligning. Yes. And in my current journey, which began like 3 years ago, why did it begin during that second return? It just did.
It did in that second return. It doesn't. Astrology does not lie. I do charts. Thousands of charts. I just did one for a lady in Brazil, and I was looking at her node, and I was telling her, and she got emotional, and she said, I literally gave up everything I had and moved to another country. She divorced, like all these things, and she was in her second Saturn return. And I said, this is the most challenging time to get you into your mission. And she was actually on a spiritual path now and doing all these healing workshops and lived in paradise. She showed me where she lived. I was like, oh my gosh, it was beautiful. She held her little phone up. And so she lost a lot, and her children won't talk to her. And all these things happened because she changed. Her entire life went upside down, but it was meant to happen. And she knew it. And she told me, because she said she knew she's where she's meant to be, and she had to be spiritual. And she was telling me this. So everyone experiences a different kind of learning. Some people's, like, I'll give an example. A lot of people that tell me that they just can't have the career they want, and they really want to, be successful, but their family is a burden, or they feel responsible with their, the home and their parents. And I look, and they usually have the North Node in the 4th house of home and family, and the South Node in the career house. So I'm like, you've already been successful and focused on career. This life, you have to start getting comfortable with the taking care of family and all of that first. And once you do, then you'll be able to balance and have a job and do these things. And so it's so crazy. I did this like random. They had all these people coming up to a booth, and I was doing charts, like pulling them up, 5-minute readings. And it was an event. And everyone that was coming had the same nodes. I was like, this is so crazy. And so all of them had North Node in the 4th house, South Node in the 10th. Almost all of them that came to me. There were like 8 astrologers there. And I'm like, are you taking care of your parents in your home? Yes. So this is a pattern I see. They end up being the one that takes care of their parents. This is like a karmic debt. It's what they chose to do. And they're like, oh yeah, my mother lives with me, or I am the one, my brothers don't help me, all these stories. And I had, out of 10 people that had those nodes, all 10 were taking care of their parent in some way. They're a parent. And that's the 4th house North Node. See, that's part of it.
I believe, and excuse me, we're out of time. My situation is the other, where I've already taken care, not a parent, but just in general, the family here. Now it's career. That's the shift I'm feeling. I don't know if I'm right in feeling that based on what you're telling me.
Your Saturn is right. You got Jupiter and Chiron in your 10th house, and Jupiter, that's really good for 10th house cusp, is the career house. This focusing on your work, your public, your service, and your achievements and things like that. Yeah.
And the first return is when you're about 30.
27 to 30. And it's the most difficult time in people's lives. I mean, I hear it. I always ask people, what happened when you were 27 to 30? Oh my gosh. They start telling me, and I'm like, do you know what the Saturn return is? They're like, no. And you'll see memes on Facebook, people know, they'll joke, I'm in my Saturn return, because Saturn is the planet of time. They always joke that Saturn is the teacher. So Saturn teaches you the hard lessons in life that you don't want to learn. And that's why it's difficult. So they always say Saturn is the teacher planet in the zodiac, and it's strict, and it's responsible, and it's harsh, and it's cold, and it makes things a little tough, but it does it to make you stronger and wiser. So that's
and find your purpose.
Yeah.
And find your purpose. And 27 to 30. I wouldn't say something challenging happened, but something did happen, but kind of charted the future. But enough about me, enough about you. You booked a pre-order. We can find that on your website, right?
Yes, it's Astrology's Magical Nodes of the Moon. It's by me and a friend of mine, Bernie Ashman. You can go to Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, to find it. And you can also email me through my website if you want more information. I'm going to have author copies. So if you want a copy early, it doesn't release officially till next August. So pre-order time, right, for the next 9 months.
All I'm going to say is look ahead and make sure it doesn't release during a retrograde Mercury.
I know. I'm a little worried about that. I need to look at that, Steve. And see
I just planted a seed. What's the release date? What's the release date?
August 1st, 2020. Yeah.
I can't jump to a computer fast enough because we got
I
to go,
know,
but
I know.
I'm going to. I'm going
Yes.
to because I'm
Yes.
curious. Just it always change the date. Carmen, always great talking with you. Your insight is so amazing, spot on, and we learn a lot. So I thank you for that.
You. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.